Sen. John McCain criticized Trump's sad trip to Da Nang, Vietnam, specifically because POTUS failed to address human rights issues. Why it matters. McCain was held and tortured as a prisoner of war during the Vietnam War, and he has spoken numerous times about addressing the human rights issues in Vietnam. And McCain's criticism joins the 20 House members, from both sides of the aisle, who sent Trump a letter urging him to discuss Vietnam's dismal human rights record during his visit to Hanoi. The March 2016 meeting, one man who claimed to have high-level contacts in the Russian government, Joseph Mifsud, only expressed interest in Papadopoulos after he joined the Trump campaign. He was at this meeting with Papadopoulos, as well as a woman named Olga Pulanskaya, whom Mifsud curiously introduced as Putin's niece, though court papers indicate Putin doesn't have a niece. Mifsud had a rocky history, and those who knew him described him as very, very strange to the times. But he quickly became a political pundit on Russia state TV, praising Putin and pushing his expertise in Russian politics. The April 2016 meeting, Mifsud and Papadopoulos met for breakfast at a hotel in London, where Mifsud claimed he had thousands of emails containing dirt on Hillary Clinton. Papadopoulos emailed Stephen Miller the day before this breakfast meeting. He told Miller Putin wanted to extend an open invitation to Trump to visit Russia. The day after the meeting, he emailed Miller about some interesting messages coming in from Moscow about a trip when the time is right, per NYT. Months later, Russian state hackers released dozens of DNC emails. One last thing, Papadopoulos, though described as a volunteer by Trump, was a foreign policy advisor to Trump's campaign, even going so far as to edit a major foreign policy speech for Trump, per NYT. Devin Kelly, who fatally shot 26 people at a church in Sutherland Springs, Texas, the last weekend, showed early signs of depression and rage while in the Air Force, NYT reports. But there was little they could do to prevent his future impact on society. Commanders say they have limited options until a crime is committed, NYT notes. Even then, the priority is more often on getting problem troops out of the military, giving little thought to the possible impact on society. Why it matters. A GOP member of Congress said last week, "I was pretty appalled at the Air Force's lax procedures in entering stuff in the database. They are taking a wider look, and we're going to make sure all the services do, because I'm worried this is a bigger problem than we have seen." What they said. The senators, Ben Cardin of Maryland, Sheldon Whitehouse of Rhode Island, Jeff Merkley of Oregon, Brian Schatz of Hawaii and Ed Markey of Massachusetts, were asked during a press conference whether they supported nuclear power. Two responded. Whitehouse said there's bipartisan support to pass measures in Congress advancing nuclear technologies and helping keep open current reactors facing economic challenges. He didn't explicitly say he supports nuclear power, though he has in the past. Markey, sitting a few seats down, didn't explicitly say he opposes nuclear power, but that was the thrust of his comments. Citing the growth in renewable energy, he says there aren't any meltdowns to worry about. What they're not saying a lot. I interviewed Cardin, Whitehouse, Merkley and Schatz yesterday, and asked them all about nuclear power. They told me they supported it, albeit some more cautiously than others, and all while emphasizing safety must be prioritized. Quoted, "Anything that is a low-carbon solution has to be pursued, and anything that can get bipartisan support ought to be pursued," said Schatz. That's not to say nuclear power is necessarily a solution in most instances, but there may be instances where it's the best solution. "I think it can be part of a clean energy environment," Cardin said. "I'm not saying we've solved any of the problems with fuel storage, but I think in terms of the big vision of saving our planet, it's worth exploring that strategy," Merkley said. "If safety is not compromised, if economics are not compromised, if nuclear non-proliferation issues are not compromised, then I support nuclear power," Markey told me after the press conference in an interview. "If they have to be compromised in order to accomplish that goal, then no, I don't. And thus far they have not been able to 30 years overcome those obstacles." What's next? The Trump administration is hosting an event Monday saying that nuclear power and cleaner fossil fuels must be part of the solutions to address climate change. Why it matters is the government has raised concerns in its review of Time Warner's pending sale to Ed Inc. People within the companies and on Wall Street are speculating that the Trump administration's feelings about the network could be influencing the deal. The government has denied politics is playing a role in its examination of the merger, and Chief Executive Randall Stephenson said Thursday he has no reason to suspect that is a factor. On Monday, when executives visited the Justice Department, Trump's recently confirmed antitrust chief, Mahmoud El-Rahim, raised the prospect that the companies would have to sell either Turner, parent of CNN, and other cable networks, or the DirecTV satellite unit. Democrats are split between moderates and a rising progressive left. The Republican Party is divided by serious questions about its essential purpose. Tuesday night's losses could have a helpful effect on Trump enthusiasts. They imagine the number and strength of his supporters as bigger than it is. After Virginia, they must surely see trouble. Trump has not built support in the middle, he's alienated it. It is the big story of the year since his election, that he has not a growing base but a smaller, so far indissoluble core. At a growing number of companies that haven't had public allegations of sexual harassment, including Dell Inc. and Facebook Inc., some employees have attended training sessions meant to detect biases that can lead to harassment. House Speaker Paul Ryan last week called upon members of Congress to provide sexual harassment training for staffers and members. LA Times front page: Louis C.K.'s candid admission that he engaged in sexual misconduct with multiple women has seemingly brought the curtain down on his acclaimed career and his extensive associations with several top networks. More companies than usual are reporting higher earnings and revenue than analysts had forecast. Stock prices tend to track corporate profits over the long term, so the better-than-expected earnings growth helps to validate the stock market's record-setting run, at least somewhat. Investors have also continued to bet big on economic growth in the U.S. and worldwide as economies in Europe and Asia have bounced back. Since Trump's election, technology companies have led the way with a 39% surge. Banks and industrial and basic materials companies have also soared. Only phone company stocks are down from a year ago. But I don't get to watch much television. Primarily because of documents. I'm reading documents. A lot. And different things. I actually read much more. I read you people much more than I watch television. Go deeper. Trump loves watching TV and he's the producer of his own epic film.